Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. If you've been following the channel recently, you'll know that I've become a little bit obsessed with Audi S cars. I recently bought a 2003 Audi S4 in Nogaro Blue, then I followed it by buying a Mark I Audi S5 Coupe with that glorious V8. So I thought it'd be interesting to see how they've evolved over the years, and that's why I'm in this. This is the latest Audi S5. As I'll explain later, this brand new S5 is a bit of a mixture of the two. First thing to talk about then is the engine. Now sadly, that glorious V8 is long gone. It's been replaced with this 3-litre twin-scroll turbo V6, which produces 367 brake horsepower and 550 Nm of torque. This is only around 20 horsepower more than you'd get from the V8, but it's way more economical. Audi claim it'll do about 36 miles per gallon combined, which, having used this car for a week, is accurate, which is surprising from the Volkswagen Audi group. Happily though, at 36 or 38 miles per gallon, this is twice as efficient as the old V8s. They'd average 16, 18 miles per gallon. This probably won't surprise you now, but it's also got a mild hybrid system. But thankfully it's not too intrusive. It just sits there in the background, giving a helping hand. If you're particularly observant, you'll notice as well that the new S5 isn't a coupe. It's a 5-door. It's not even a saloon actually, it's more of a liftback. Whatever it is, I quite like it. The new S5 is also available as an estate, which is quite practical and also quite good looking. That's known as the Avant. Personally though, because I don't have 2.2 children, or a St Bernard, I'd pick this one. I wouldn't go with the Avant. I love the fact that whether you go for the liftback like this, or the more practical Avant, neither are too shouty. They've really followed that Audi S ethos of, less is more. For example, come here, follow me. There isn't a single S5 badge on the grille. You'd never know this wasn't just an A4 or an A5. Overall, it's a really subtle design. It's definitely a wolf in sheep's clothing. Apart from the S5 badge on the boot, which by the way I don't like the new font, there's nothing really to give this car's performance away. Having said that, you do have 4 whopping big exhausts on the back, which I love. And all 4 exhausts on this car are genuine. Unlike, might I point out, the Mercedes A-Class saloon. Even if you opt for this sportier liftback variant, you're not compromising too much practicality. The boot, in fact, let me show you. Fancy, isn't it? The boot offers 476 litres of space, and you can fold down the rear seats, but weirdly, there's no lever in the boot to do so. You gotta do that from the inside. I really love its overall stance. It's really stocky and butch. I also like the new flush door handles. So these door handles don't pull out, there's a little button behind. You just put your hands behind and there you go. This might be a slightly unpopular opinion, but I quite like a little bit of chrome on cars. And Audi S cars have always had that, and that's true with this one too. So you get a little bit around the windows, a little bit here on the sill, and crucially, the door mirrors. It's a subtle reminder to everyone in front of you to get out of your way. Right, anyway, as it's freezing today, let's head inside before I turn blue. Get those heated seats on. Well, inside the new S5, it's classic Audi. It's clean, minimal, and very well put together. It's also loaded with tech. Straight away you'll notice you've got screens everywhere. Even the passenger has one. Now I'll be honest, at first I thought that passenger screen was a little bit gimmicky, but the more time I've spent with this car, the more I realise it is quite useful. For example, the passenger can input the destination on the sat-nav, which saves the driver the hassle. They can also adjust their seat, and they've got their own entertainment source. When I first got in this car, I thought this was going to be massively distracting, but it really isn't. It's obviously quite a clever design. When you look straight ahead, all you're looking at is the head-up display. There is one little annoyance though, and this is the very definition of first world problems. Let me just explain. If you go into Apple CarPlay, which is all wireless, same with Android Auto, if you go onto the drive select mode here and change from individual to dynamic, for example, after a few seconds, once that screen fades away, it doesn't take you back to CarPlay. It just takes you back to the Audi homepage. So you've got to hit the CarPlay button while you're driving, which is a little bit distracting, I suppose. Something that could be solved with a software upgrade, I'm sure. Everything you press and touch feels very solid and weighty. Everything feels nice and upmarket. Apart from these little vents for the heater. They definitely will snap off. Apart from that though, everything else does feel very well made. You get a wireless charger down here for your phone. You get 2 cup holders. You get a nice soft centre armrest. You get some storage underneath. And you get some storage in the door cards. You also get this little compartment down here, which I haven't seen on a new car for years, to be honest. It's usually a feature of older cars. Oh, and check this out, this really impressed me actually. So, up above your head, you've got a nice glass roof, which doesn't open, it's fixed. But there's no blind. But watch this. If you want your privacy, you just press this little button and it makes it nice and opaque. I've never seen that before. Blew my mind, actually. In fact, it still does. Even though this is all touchscreen and there's no sort of haptic feedback, it is really quick to respond and it's quite easy to use, even if you're doing 70 miles an hour on the motorway. One more compliment for the Audi are these seats. They're beautiful, not only to look at, but also to sit in. They're really comfortable and very supportive. And it's got a built-in speaker in the headrest, so if you've got the sat-nav on, for example, it'll give you your instructions directly into your ear. If you're not a fan of that though, or it makes you jump like it did me the first time, you can turn it off. This might all sound like I'm being very complimentary with this Audi, but the only other brand new Audis I've driven are the e-tron, which I did a video with, and the Q4. And well, if you watch those videos, I wasn't impressed at all. But this is a genuinely good car. As this new S5 is definitely not a coupe, may as well talk about the rear space, hadn't we? Now, this driver's seat is set up for my position, and as you can see, there's still plenty of room. I'm like 5'10", 5'11" on a good day if you include the fringe, and there's still plenty of room. It's more than adequate. You get a nice armrest here with 2 cup holders. You even get heated seats in the rear, which is quite unusual on a car at this price point. You get 2 USB-C charging points as well. And yeah, overall, it is quite a nice place to be. One thing I will say though is it's fine for me, but if you're over 6'2", or your name's John or Edward, you might struggle. One slightly annoying thing about the back is the windows don't go down all the way. That's your lot. The windows are quite shallow, but luckily you've got this glass roof, so it does allow plenty of light in. Anyway, enough of this boring stuff. Should we take it for a drive? Straight away you can tell you're in something special. This isn't just your run-of-the-mill Audi A5. What surprised me most about this car is the ride quality. It isn't too firm or uncomfortable. It just feels really smooth and capable. And you know what, even on twisty roads at, slightly higher speeds, it feels really composed. The steering's very good, They've got the balance and the weight just right. It's nice and light for your daily duties, parking in the city centre, things like that, but it also provides enough feedback so you know exactly where the wheels are and what they're doing. The driving position's very nice as well. You can sit down nice and low, but also the visibility is excellent. I know this is a massively overused line when talking about cars, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's a really nice place to be. I mean, although this has a dark interior, it doesn't feel dark and dingy. It's nice and airy actually. You get heated and ventilated massage seats, you get heated steering wheel, you get electronic steering column adjuster. You get everything that you'd expect from a luxury car. That's a bit of a surprise, really. I can't heap too much praise on this car, though, because there are a few disappointing things. Take, for example, the reverse camera. It's quite poor. You'd expect a better quality. I mean, for example, the A-Class in front, which is Mercedes' entry model, that has a much better quality camera. This is quite poor. Granted, it's got several of them, and it's got that 360 camera, which makes parking easy, but yeah, you'd expect better quality, really. You can change the display shown on the gauge cluster as well, so you can make this quite driver focused. Above all though, what I really love about this car is the performance. This will do 0 to 62 in just 4.5 seconds. So it's sort of the perfect amount of speed. Again, in that annoying Germanic way, it seems to have got the balance just right. It's not so quick that it's a handful, but yeah, it's not slow either. 0 to 62 in 4.5 seconds is pretty quick. And thanks to the twin scroll turbo, there's no turbo lag either. The power is instant, really. Watch this, for example. Hang on a second. I'm always cautious about saying watch this because it's always like the precursor for an accident, isn't it? Hey, watch this. Bang. You see, nobody needs to go much quicker than that. It's plenty quick enough. Before we continue, I just need to say a quick thank you to today's video sponsor, Car Vertical. Now, if you're in the market for a used car or motorbike, it's really important that you do a thorough vehicle history check before you hand over any cash. There are so many dodgy cars out there, I'd hate for you to end up buying one with a hidden past. So all you need to do is go to carvertical.com and type in the VIN or the reg. Now, by the way, this isn't just a UK thing, it works in over 35 different countries. Once you've typed in the reg or the VIN, this checks thousands of databases to make sure it's never been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has a standing finance on it. In addition to that, it shows you the MOT history, the ownership changes, the reg plate changes, the spec, the average market value, all that sort of thing. It's a really thorough check. It doesn't take long and it isn't expensive, and it's cheaper still if you use my promo code HIGHPEAK. That's HIGHPEAK, all one word, HIGHPEAK, and you'll save yourself 20% off each and every check that you do. So I'll leave the link below in the video description, but check it out for yourself. And by the way, you can use that promo code HIGHPEAK as many times as you like. It isn't just a one-off code. So yeah, cheers Car Vertical for sponsoring today's video. Back to the S5. Of course, being a sporty Audi, this uses Audi's legendary Quattro four-wheel drive system. So there's just no fuss, no drama. Instead, what you get is just nice, comforting grip. Plenty of it. It's a properly quick car, this, but it's just never frightening. It's never intimidating. It just feels like you're safe. There's something really nice about that. It just feels nice and stable. I've been living with this car now for about a week, and I've decided it's the perfect car for me. It's quick enough, economical enough, big enough, sporty enough. I just love it. Another criticism though, I wish I could hear more exhaust noise. I mean, like now for example, we're going downhill, so you can't hear the engine at all. We're on batteries. I know times are changing and this doesn't have a big V8, but I'd like to hear a bit more exhaust note really. Let's knock it into sport mode, shall we? It's no V8 sadly. On the other side of the coin, I suppose that's a bit of a compliment for the sound deadening. They've done a very good job here to keep you nice and insulated. Something that confused me initially about this S5 is where it sits in the Audi lineup. So of course this S5 isn't available as a coupe or a convertible, like the previous generations. Instead just a liftback, or a sportback, or whatever they call it, and an estate. But then also something to bear in mind, there's no S4 anymore either. So if you want a sporty, compact, saloony type thing, this is it. The driver aids on this car are very impressive. Now this has got lane keep assist, which I know is no new thing, but on this it works really well. So if for example you're on the motorway, you can pretty much take your hands off the steering wheel and it will keep you within your lane. Not that I'd advise you do that to be honest, but it does work very well. It's got things like adaptive cruise control, this thing will brake for you as well. Now this is true of most new cars to be honest with that feature, but it can be quite annoying. I was driving through the city centre the other night and there was a Prius taxi cutting in front of me, about 50 metres ahead. This thought we were heading for a... What's it beeping for now? I'm going over the speed limit slightly. Yeah, so there are lots of annoying beeps and bongs. Anyway, this Prius taxi was cutting in front of me and this thought we were going to end up having a head-on collision and braked for me, which I didn't really like or appreciate. I was metres away from it in reality and I had it all under control, but this car didn't trust me. Overall though, and I know I've only spent a week with it, it's just been a really easy car to live with. I found it to be the perfect size and the perfect speed, and really the perfect daily companion. I drive quite a few new cars these days, but most seem to be EVs. They're all very expensive. Even something ordinary that would normally cost you 25 grand with an internal combustion engine, as an EV will cost you £1 million. So what's quite refreshing about the S5 is that it's quite reasonably priced. Now, don't think I've lost the plot here completely, because I don't think I have. But this car, as tested, will set you back £68,000. Now, I know that's quite a lot of money, but when you compare it to the e-tron GT that I drove, or even the Q4, which was about the same sort of price off memory, they just didn't look like great value. But this kind of does. If I were in the market for this kind of car, then I'd be seriously tempted. In fact, I'm seriously tempted anyway, and I'm not in the market for this kind of car. We'll do a quick test on the bypass then, shall we? Knock it into sport mode. There we go. There's a little bit of engine noise. And then we'll try, shall we? So we're doing 50 miles an hour right now. Sting it. The 7-speed auto gearbox kicks down and we're away. That's pretty impressive actually. I've done a fair few miles on this on the motorway and at 70 miles an hour, it's nice and quiet, nice and hushed. You can still have a conversation here at normal volume without having to raise your voice. We've also got a blind spot monitoring system as well. No, I'm very impressed with this. Again, I know this is a bit of an overused phrase, but I think it's a really good all-rounder, especially if you go for the estate. You've got a spacious, practical family car with a big boot and all-wheel drive. And very nearly Porsche 911 performance, all wrapped up into one well-priced package. There's quite a lot to like, really. It looks good, it isn't too shouty, and it's loaded with tech. I mean, I know it's not as wild as the RS version, but that's kind of the point of the S. That's what I like about it. Less is more. What this is a really good, everyday, fast Audi, and it does that job tremendously well. It'll be interesting to see how these drop in price after a few years. And when they get to maybe 3 years old, this might be a £40,000–45,000 car, which I think will be a bit of a bargain. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below, but I mean, instead of this, you could get the BMW 440 or 340, or the C43 or CLE 53, maybe that's sort of comparable. I think I'd have the S5, to be honest. This would certainly tick all the boxes for me anyway, but does it feel like a worthy successor of the legendary V8 S4 and S5s? If I'm honest, not really, because it's kind of, it's missing that soul that you only get from a V8, to be honest. But this is the way we're going. It's not a full-on hybrid, it's only a mild hybrid, so it's not too interfering. As such, I think this is quite a good compromise. So yeah, thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. I'll leave the links below. And yeah, if you like these new car reviews, let me know in the comments below and I shall do more of them. Cheers guys, I'll see you next time.